Some videos back, I covered an entry from a multi-part story built from the recollection of a decorated member of a special education team. These stories are known lovingly as the Diary of the Tard Wrangler. The tales are often uncouth, offensive, and downright despicable in nature, but by golly are they entertaining. This time, we're diving into yet another excerpt from that same anon's backlog of misadventures from employment. I should make it known that because of YouTube's unfair and unjustified rules, that I can't say certain words too many times, otherwise they're gonna turn my orifices inside out and strip my channel from me. So, from this point forward, every instance of the word tard is going to be censored. That's wonderful, because this story is unbelievably inappropriate and covers many adult topics. But don't worry, I'm more than happy to censor one word over all of the other just as offensive ones. Buckle up, bud, this is gonna be fun. Be me, 30-year-old tard wrangler. I have a master's in special education and have been wrangling since I was 24. It's bad, fellow anons. Most of my stories are about field trips. Can be contained within the four walls of a school, but once you take them to new and unfamiliar settings, it's like taking the Manson family to Thanksgiving at your grandmother's house. Someone will shit themselves, someone will stare blankly and drool, someone will scream, "Turkey is my friend," while they eat the turkey, and God forbid one of them gets a knife. We had a field trip to an indoor water park. Not my idea. I'm completely against any trips further than the school cafeteria. Katie, a mom who is responsible for Reginald, planned this massacre. She found a grant for helping special needs children explore their environment. I'm all for turning them loose in the forest and seeing how many make it back to the bus versus need to be rescued with a helicopter. But not this, for God's sake. Katie wanted to know why I hadn't gotten any grants. I don't know, bitch. I'm not paid by the hour. So my day ends when the bell rings and it's time for scotch and cheap buffalo wings. By the way, scotch and cheap buffalo wings are the only way to get the smell of turd room out of my nose. It's so bad that you can taste the air. I mostly go to Chili's because it's cheap. Teacher pay isn't as bad as people think, at least if you have a master's. But still, I'm not going to Ruth Chris's Steakhouse every Friday with my teacher friends. Also, the bartender at Chili's rings up a decent scotch like it's the cheapest vodka because his ex-wife was a teacher. Anyway, back to the story at hand. Katie got the grant, so now we have an extra field trip. Also, she's being extra bitchy about me not getting the grant. She wants to go to a local indoor water park. She says she had a connect. The last time I had a connect was in college. I got some really good MDMA, went to a Ween concert, and almost got my girlfriend pregnant. She was on an antibiotic, so the pill wasn't working, and we were both so flipped on the MDMA that I forgot to wear a condom while we fucked in the grass strip between a fence and the parking lot. I apologize to anyone who had to see that. Anyway, bullet dodged a few weeks later. She wasn't my favorite person, but I was in college and having sex, so it worked well enough. And now we're Facebook friends. Hi, Cindy. Katie's connect was a regional manager for the entertainment company that owned Mount Splashmore Indoor Water Park. Not a great connect unless he wants to sell me some MDMA. The plan is that we will go on a Tuesday during the winter. This is their slow time. They're only open on the weekends and 2 weekdays. I'll bet the wintertime weekday lifeguards aren't the A-team. More on this later. Since it's a water park, every tard has to bring a parent. It's mostly moms, a few dads. Let's talk about tard parents for a moment. Also, I'll explain a little about these stories. Tard moms only have two body types. The first tard mom body is, I got hit by a bus and they pushed everything back together into one shapeless blob. And somehow I ended up with cellulite on my forehead. They always look tired and have this stare that says, "This is my life until I die." The second tard mom body is, I have to escape this reality, so I will compulsively exercise and look amazing to compensate for this hell. Type 2 tard moms have a plan to get their special little bundle of joy into a group living situation where, quote, their little insert tard name here can live up to their full potential. Bullshit! You want to get them onto state disability and out of your house so your life can be normal again. Then, you can go on vacations, have people over to your house, and pretend like this never happened to you, but still feel like a good person. I've played this game since my summer internship between sophomore and junior year of college. I know your fucking secrets. Tard dads play it super goofy and fun or crazy uptight, but some of them have a dark side. Experienced tard wranglers are very careful around them. The dark dads are all just one bad day from catching a felony charge. None of us tard wranglers get paid enough for a frustrated middle-aged man to use us as their punching bag or rape doll. Mr. Wilkerson, you're not playing the John Wayne Gacy rope trick on me. Also, Tyrell just vomited so hard that he got a bloody nose and is wiping his face on the desk. I'd hate to be the non-tard kid in Dark Dad's house. That kid has to be perfect or something happens. I don't know what happens, but I'm sure the belt comes off a fair amount. Since the teachers in the regular classes don't have to wipe ass, they probably don't see the evidence. I suspect the ass-wiping/public nudity aspect of tard life protects them from Dark Dad. I may wish for death every week, but I don't want to end up under the floorboards while Mr. Potato Head and wife pretend to have a normal life just a few feet above my rotting corpse. The goofy ones without the dark secrets are just annoying. Your Hawaiian shirt in January and incessant smile is too much. If I see you in Chili's, don't come and talk to me, and buying me a drink won't help. They're the kind of person that says, "Hey, gotta unwind, am I right? How about I buy you a cold one and you tell me some war stories?" I think to myself, you are my war story, motherfucker. Goofy dads will awkwardly hit on female tard wranglers. Jokes about the shocker and offering back rubs stopped working sophomore year of college. Pretty much stay away from the dads. I saw one in the wild when I was out with the teachers. He was shit-faced drunk at Applebee's. He didn't recognize me. He told the whole bar that he wished his wife took it in the dumper. Repeated over and over again and increasingly slurred. Only I knew why. Then Leviticus knew after the dad got kicked out and I explained. Then Leviticus told the bartender. Good times. Looking back, he may have been a dark dad, but that may have been a rough night for everyone at home. Never saw him again. A note about Leviticus and these stories in general. He's real, he's black, and he's the size of Marcellus Wallace in Pulp Fiction. His name isn't Leviticus. I tried to remove identifying info without changing the actual story, so dates are a little off, but I did almost knock up my college girlfriend. Or did, and she miscarried. At a Ween show when we were high as fuck on MDMA. It's our Facebook friend's anniversary. Good to see you again, Cindy. Anyway, Leviticus is not his real name. He has a black guy name that is just as obviously a black guy name as Leviticus, so it doesn't change the effect, but he's harder to identify. Also, he knows that I write these. He picked Leviticus for his fake name. He's on 4chan and he thinks that all the BBC hysteria is hilarious. He doesn't like white women, too needy he says. He likes the Latinas, because they're crazy and make amazing eggs in the morning. At least one teacher is getting laid. Also, he prefers the Latina real shit aggression to white woman passive aggression. Only a few dads are there. Carol the Jesus got her husband to come. His name is Herb. Again, I know it's pronounced Herb, but I think Herb is a lot funnier. He's the one who's always on a business trip or off being a prayer warrior. We have a betting pool on whether he's using Tinder or Grindr. I bet he's a dark dad. Real dark. Maybe True Detective Season 1 dark. Greg is there because his potato wife needs a spa day. He's wearing a Hawaiian shirt and that white sunscreen on the nose. He knows that we're going to be inside and that the sun will never shine again, but he's just that goofy. Fuck you, Greg. Also, Hannah is there. She's the one who got me in trouble last field trip because the turds got french fries instead of apple slices. Too many parents add to the bus chaos. The bus is a finely choreographed dance. We get to the water park. Raymond, the regional manager, aka the hookup, is there to greet us. He is absolutely fucking beaming. God damn, the poor bastard thinks this is a PR opportunity. He has no idea what's coming. Better get the photos now before things go bad. He does. We set up for the photo. The photographer has not been briefed. This isn't a wedding. He's doing that thing photographers do with their hands when they're squeezing to get everyone in the shot. He's making squeezing motions with his hands. He's twisting his hands. Nothing. He goes up to one little tart and asked her to squeeze in just a little. Not sure what she heard in her mind, but she fucking ran. She is eventually chased down and returned to the photo shoot. I got to see the finished product. It was a bunch of tarts staring in different directions, dead-eyed adults, and Greg waving like he's at fucking Disneyland. This was the end of the good times and the start of the happening. So this water park has a kiddie area, a wave pool, some intermediate slides, and then the giant slides. Raymond assured me that the water park accommodates people of all abilities. His words. My words were, if a wheelie tart rolls into the pool, will they drown? So he didn't answer the fucking question. God answered it for both of us. 45 seconds into the experience, Latrice, white tart with a black name, somehow puts her electric chair into turbo mode and goes straight for the wave pool. It's one of those wave pools where you walk in, so it goes from a little water between the toes and descends into about 6 feet of wave action. Latrice's chair is battery powered and has big rubber tires. The chairs have to be able to work in the rain, so the electronics are sealed in there pretty well. Anyway, Latrice points her goddamn chair at the wave pool and fucking goes for it. She misjudges the situation completely. Her chair shoots straight from gentle waves lapping your feet, or in her case tires, to the dark abyss before everything shorts out. I don't know if she was hunting a kraken or she thought she could get to a U-boat filled with secret Nazi gold. Either way, she's gotten herself deep underwater with artificial waves crashing over her head. The lifeguard realizes that it's time for some Baywatch action and jumps into the water. Remember what I said about the winter weekday lifeguards maybe not being the best? Well, Michael Phelps forgot to hit the emergency shutoff for the wave machine. So Latrice has rolled into the deepest part of the pool. Phelps is trying to get to Latrice while these giant waves throb over him. The force of the waves passing pushes him down and then pulls him back up. Finally, he gets to Latrice and realizes that there's a seatbelt. I guess they don't cover that at lifeguard school. He's had to come up for air twice now. No such luck for Latrice. So I yell, "Turn off the waves!" And everyone looks at me like I'm a for suggesting that you can turn off waves. Then one of the employees realizes that yes, unlike the ocean, you can turn off the waves. Did all of these people think that the moon was beaming special gravity to their wave pool, or did they really not know where the waves came from? Waves are off. Second lifeguard jumps in. They drag Latrice out of the pool, still strapped into her chair, mind you. This is not the approach I would have taken. Me, I'd have released a seatbelt and just gotten her out. But I'm a simple Wrangler. Heart-stopping moment when I think, fuck, it's been less than 5 minutes since we arrived and I've already got one dead. Then she begins to scream, again! Maybe near drowning is fun when you don't have to worry about brain damage. Her mother was just standing there. Her face said it all. Damn, almost. Then her whole body sagged when she realized the $20,000 wheelchair was probably ruined. So here's the hot Allison situation. We have a graduate student named Allison. She's a regular person teacher studying educational leadership and is doing research on special education. Ordinarily, this would have been a good and valid reason to hate her, but she's deaf. I'm not saying you can't hate people just because they're deaf. I'm sure there are some deaf bastards out there, probably at least one deaf serial killer. I'm saying that it's okay to hate people who become educational leaders because they add all kinds of bullshit to real teachers' lives. But you still can't hate her because she is like the whisperer. She can't hear at all and cochlear implants wouldn't work for her. But she can talk. She talks in that weird deaf person porpoise voice. When the turds hear the porpoise voice, they all just listen and follow her every command. If I say no pooping in the cafeteria, the turds keep coming. If she says nah pooping in the cafeteria, those little turds squeeze their buttholes tight and hold that turd in until they get to the special person bathroom. She reads lips. The turds don't move their mouths like normal people, cause they're turds. So she can't understand a fucking thing they say. Doesn't matter. She isn't there to listen. She just gives commands and is obeyed. On the subject of Allison, so she was like a teen comedy character who just needed to change her clothes and realize that she's attractive. This is because her parents treated her like a turd, even though she clearly isn't. She's getting a doctorate from a goddamned impressive university. They found out that she was deaf after she was born, so she got a normal name, Allison. I'm sure if they had found out before they completed the birth certificate, then her name would have been Irma-Rude. They treated her like she was special but refused to send her to a deaf school. They wanted her to have a normal childhood, and she didn't. Oh yeah, they refused to let her learn sign language. They thought sign language would be a handicap. Apparently, this is a thing some parents do. I think they have a fantasy that she's normal. They spend a fortune for her to learn to talk using throat vibrations with private speech therapist. Apparently, they have money. If she had gone to deaf schools, stuff would have been more normal. She said that her friends who went to deaf camp had a blast. Deaf kids figure they won't get a lot of chances to fool around in the non-deaf world. So once you hit about 14, deaf camp is a Roman orgy. Mouth stuff happens early in the land of the deaf. Allison didn't get to go to deaf camp, so had basically zero social self-confidence and was in a never-been-kissed/femcel situation. So she had dressed like an old woman and never socialized with anyone. Pretty much showed up to work in bulky sweaters, did her research, herded and went home to do deaf stuff. When we all arrived, she just casually walks out of the women's locker room with this perfect body and an old lady swimsuit. I guess the price of having such a perfect hotness, face, tits, ass, legs, whole package, is that you're deaf. She clearly has no idea. No strutting out like a model, trying to catch a man's eye with her goddess-like legs. Nope. She's a superpowered turd wrangler on a mission. I used to think she was a useless academic, but now she's definitely a member of the Aqua Turd Hunger Force. She may not realize that she's hot, but the turd dads are fully erect and prepared to simp. Also, how can a simp maintain an erection? I figured that the inherent sadness of the simp would suck the blood out of their cock, thus making the simp unable to be tumescent. Anyway, Greg is simping hard and is hard. If I had a walking boner and only wearing swim trunks, then I'd fade into the background and wait for Lil Chubby to take a nap. Not Greg, my friends, not Greg. He's following her around semi-erect and trying to buy her a drink, get a pool chair for her, engage her in small talk. He's visibly aroused the whole time. She's not blind, dumbass. She can see that your wee monsieur's awake. For God's sakes, don't jizz your pants, Greg. Okay, let me be clear. I've definitely simped for a few girls, but I learned my lesson. Now I'm able to talk to a woman without repulsing her, and occasionally a woman will have sex with me. However, I'm happily single. My work life is a hellscape. I like being able to hang out with my friends at Chili's, Applebee's, Cheddar's, etc., though surprisingly never Buffalo Wild Wings, and playing Hell Let Loose or Mario Kart. Very different gaming experiences. Anyway, happily single and fapping to X videos. If I don't want to die alone, I work in a female-dominated profession and can probably get a woman to settle for me. If that doesn't work, I can get a Filipino wife and pretend that she's not a mail-order bride. I'm too dead inside to simp. You have to have hope to say "m'lady." Also, and this is the most important, you have to respect the wrangle. I don't care who you are, what you are, how hot or how hideous, if you've got the wrangle, all true turd wranglers will treat you with the respect you deserve. You gotta respect the wrangle. Surprise deaf hotness be damned, I respect her wrangle. She's on the Aqua Turd Hunger Force. Allison and I are desperately trying to get the parents to help, while the other wranglers chase down the turds. tards. Latrice is all present and accounted for. She's slumped in a lounge chair gasping for breath while her crippled wheelchair sits next to her. Her mother is technically supervising her insofar as her mother is sitting near her. Really though, her mother is staring into the middle distance contemplating what could have been. She may end up on the local news. I'm not sure if a women's prison is better, but I doubt it's much worse. More forced ass eating, but probably fewer diapers and drool cloths. Toss up on whether it's quieter. I have visual on 3 dads, but they're in no position to help. They're following Allison. I see that Raymond is trying to squeeze some profit out of this charity gig by opening up the tiki bar. It's 9:45 a.m. on a Tuesday and I'm pretty sure he's using a janitor as the bartender. Anyway, I found 25% of the moms. I tell Allison to take her pack of dads towards the Splash Fort play area while I search the cabanas. The private cabanas are basically giant tents with lounge chairs. You have to pay $200 a day to reserve them and they have table service for food and drinks. My fear is they are now filled with who will make shit murals on the tents and then just sit in the chairs playing with themselves. The cabanas would be the height of luxury. So I'm running from cabana to cabana looking inside for deviancy. Then I find Carol and her husband Herb. She is wearing a bikini. She has the body for it and it's clearly a very expensive bikini, but her crazy desperate eyes ruin the effect. Her husband is ripped and also wearing some designer swimwear. She looks at me and pats her lap. "Have a seat," she says. I freeze. Then her husband says, "My lap is free too." I am hypnotized. This is how serial killers trap you. I step inside. Let's hope he doesn't know the Gacy rope trick. Carol says that she wants me to finger her while her husband licks me. Then he says we can make an Eiffel Tower later and I'd be in the middle. I'm still frozen. She says he can be our little cuck. Herb smiles and says, "I don't mind." Herb is all over the place sexually. It sounds like he wants to pound my ass, wants me to pound his ass, or wants to watch me pound his wife. The "I'm trisexual" joke is old and lame, but Herb appears to live it. All the jokes, all the innuendo, the betting pool, it missed the mark. These are full-on bougie Jesus swingers pansexual cucks who make their play in a water park cabana while turds run rampant. No part of me wants to lick or be licked by either Carol or her husband. Because 1, don't fuck parents. 2, no cucks. And 3, if I did it, then after I finished reaming his wife and getting teamed by him, they'd probably say "have a blessed day" before they turned me into a skin suit and put me in their walk-in closet. So I politely declined. I'm off. I hear screams coming from the splash tower. They weren't screams, they were real person screams. Even worse. So I start running. The mobile tards have climbed the stairs to the big slides. They're grabbing the inner tubes and jumping down the slides. A teenage lifeguard tried to stop chuckling Charlie. He grabbed her crotch, made eye contact, and fingered her and started grinding on her dick out. To this day, no one knows if he got the tip except for Charlie and the lifeguard, and neither of them will tell. I'm a little worried where he learned that. Maybe some time with CPS is in order. Anyway, she's traumatized for life. I was later told that she was saving herself for marriage. Lots of evangelical purity-type Christians where I live. So unless she married Charlie, which I don't advise, she'll have had 2 men that entered her sacred space, which is what the purity Jesus called a cooter. A male lifeguard tried to tackle Charlie, classic white knight behavior. I was wondering if he was getting the anal exception or maybe he was supposed to get her purity ring at some tacky destination wedding. Anyway, this white knight wasn't much of a warrior. He disentangled Charlie from the virgin bride and knocks him to the ground. Charlie's erect cock is pointing up like a tard radio tower, which is broadcasting to all the other that one of their own is in trouble. A giant named Desmond attacks the white knight male lifeguard, picks him up, and throws him down a water slide. Charlie shits all over the floor in appreciation. Water slides that require tubes require them for good reason. The water is rougher and deeper than on a regular water slide, and it slams you around. Awesome in an inner tube, less so without. The white knight screams of pain stop when he starts to drown in the slide. When he comes out of the bottom, he is bruised and sounds like someone who has just been waterboarded. He vomits. Ironic that a regular person is the first to add to the bodily fluids of the water park that day. I'm at the top of the stairs and I see more chaos, this time in the kiddie pool. On to the skinny dipping. If your only experience with nudism is non-tard, you're not prepared for this. First, there's the fun college skinny dipping. Lots of hippies, but the bodies are good even with the pit hair and drum circle afterwards. You've also got your giggly lesbian experimentation skinny dipping, which is usually the hottest, but very few guys get invites. I never even got close to being one of those lucky guys. The second is your kind of adult, grown up, not Skinamax adults nudist. Kind of hit or miss. A few under 40s, but way too many weird body types and stretch marks. The upside of this is the odds of water sex are very high. The odds of sloppy seconds are also high. This is very much the free spirit crowd. You might get the clap and you'll definitely hear about chakras. This nudism was its own category. Yeah, I have no succinct categorical definition, so I'll just describe it for you and let you come up with something on your own. If you look at a clothed turd, you'll notice that there's a lot of weird anatomy. Not quite Stephen Hawking levels, but that's definitely within reach. Add to that drool, dried food, and the turd special haircut, you've got the basic turd look. Now, the fully nude turd is something else. The average nude turd looks like a rough draft for something else. It's like a full-size homunculus or a scaled-down Jewish golem. Joints are out of place, there are various rashes, probably fungus from dried food, and things that are either floppy or weirdly well-sculpted. Gertrude is a good case study. She has one shoulder higher than the other, a glazed expression, a roll of fat that looks like she is wearing a flesh-colored tire, and weirdly flat breasts. It's like they were deflated and there are two symmetrical skin sacs with nipples attached to their chest. Anyway, she's a nude ecstasy, running through the water flapping her arms, hooting, splashing, and oh dear God, she's menstruating. She sits down and there is a little red cloud around her. Good thing there are no sharks or bears. Now let us turn to Ignatius, who his deathly pale mother tells me is named for the founder of the Jesuit order. Why the fuck do you name your turd after the founder of a religious order known for militancy in education? Seems like a weird flex. Anyway, dear Iggy has an absolutely ripped torso. If the rest of his body was like that, you know at least one tard mom would seduce this gentle idiot. It's not though. He has skinny arms and a bulbous fat ass and thunder thighs. But he is a gentle idiot with a cock like a donkey. So maybe Latrice's mom would fuck him for the novelty of it. I mean, she's definitely staring. She changes her mind when Iggy squats like he's about to jump, but instead a giant turd begins to emerge. It must have been huge and super dense because as it emerges, it stays parallel to the ground. It's like a giant backward shit boner. When it hits the water, there's an audible plop and splash. There are about 6 other nude turds all doing some version of this, but in complete ecstasy. 2 of Gertrude's classmates have synced their periods with hers, and one has a heavy flow. The water has the color of a weak cherry Kool-Aid color with some turds mixed in, floaters and sinkers. Time to pull the plug on this trip. I have to find Raymond. One of the lifeguards points me to the supervisor's office. I barge in and can you guess what I see? Katie, she of the Granton hookup, is bent over the desk, yoga outfit balled up on the floor. Raymond has his pants down, 1 foot in his pants and 1 foot out. He's fucking her from behind so hard that she's grabbing the other side of the desk, white-knuckled like a rock climber about to lose their grip. I must have come in at the deepest point of the thrust. She's got her head down back and her tits have reached the highest point of the doggy-style titty bounce. Raymond sees me first. He pulls out extremely fast. Any relatively experienced sex haver knows that whipping your dick out is uncomfortable for the lady. She says, "What the fuck, Ray?" and turns her head. That's when she sees me. Ray is standing there with a still erect and pussy-soaked cock. Katie looks like that pull-out hurt, hair disheveled, and stands there wide-stanced, labia spread. She looks at me and says, "If you promise not to tell, I'll let you come in any hole you want." I've never dumped a hot one in someone's ass, but I'm going to pass on Katie's generous offer. First, never fuck a turd mom. Second, Raymond doesn't seem like the guy you want to follow in the fucking. I'm sure there are nice regional water park managers, but he looks like he went to one of those sketchy 4th-tier frats where everyone gets herpes during rush week. So I take option 2, yell, "No problem," and run like a scared cat. Besides, there's trouble brewing in the slides. After Chuckling Charlie possibly deflowered a lifeguard and the White Knight lifeguard was defeated by Desmond, the slides were left unattended. Turds are rushing the water slides. Since turds have a different relationship to pain than the rest of us, they are cool with taking the giant slide sans tube. I hear splashing, laughing, crying. I charge up the stairs, 2 junior Wranglers at my side. Vernon is all worked up and appears to have diarrhea. Jesus, I specifically told the parents that turds with diarrhea have to sit this field trip out. Vernon's wine-drunk mother didn't get the message and she's nowhere nearby to help. She's drunk like it's a subdivision homeowners association party. He just jumps in and the water jets at the top stimulate his rectum just right, and he lets out a steam of liquid shit. He'd already stripped naked, so it was like the shit stream had a rocket effect that propelled him down the slide. Turds find different ways to impress you from real people, like Johnny might win the spelling bee and Cindy might be captain of the swim team. Vernon is never going to do those things, so his talent, I guess, is inhuman amounts of diarrhea, because he shits all the way down the slide. As he still propels out of the slide at the bottom, there's still a jet of diarrhea propelling him forward. Next, Charlie picks up the log turd he birthed in appreciation a few minutes ago and dropped it in at the top of the slide. Interestingly, the jets that come out of the water slide are there for 2 reasons. 1, to keep the slide wet, and 2, they're angled to keep your inner tube at the top until you push off. Charlie is doing an experiment. He's watching to see how long his turd baby will stay at the top of the slide. He's watching with rapt attention. Soon he has a small audience of scientists watching the water jets hold his turd at the top of the slide. They wait and wait. I'm waiting too. I'd never thought about it. But how long would it stay? A jet forces it down under the water, and this time the turbulence causes it to torpedo under the water, pop up outside the ring jetting of water, and fly down the slide. A one firm experiment is all well and good, but only repetition will confirm the validity of the results. 4 more turds are already dropping deuces onto the slides. The lifeguard at the bottom of the slide has seen too many turds today and has just fled. He'll probably never get in a pool again. We have now entered a blur of my students charging down water slides alongside sinkers, floaters, and jets of feces. I run back down the stairs to see Raymond running around with the park manager. The park manager is afraid that Raymond, a regional manager, will have him fired. Raymond is bellowing about how much it will cost to decontaminate the whole park. Apparently, they've reached some critical mass where the water just can't be filtered. The water will have to be drained, everything scrubbed, and new water pumped in. This is very expensive. Then Raymond says the words that change the day for the worse. How could it get worse? Simple. Turn off the water and get those fucking retards out of here. They are not retards, and you have to be a Wrangler to gain the privilege of saying anyway. Fuck you, Raymond. Katie heard you. No more over-the-desk doggy style for you. Haha, Raymond. Turn off the water. That will accomplish nothing and turn this into the Verdun of wrangling. Over 1 million dead and not 1 yard of territory gained by the end. But Kaiser Raymond wouldn't listen. Fucking retard. The park manager looks stricken with fear, but I guess he needs the job. So he takes out a key, opens a door, and begins the shutdown sequence. A water park is filled with a constant rush of thousands of gallons of water constantly moving. When it stops, the silence is disorienting. Then I heard the cries of fear, pain, and ecstasy that I live with 5 days a week combined with the sound of flesh on dry plastic. The little bastards are still on the water slides. I find Allison and her 3 simps. How long until they fight for her hand? I need her skills on top of the water park tower. We need the water to flush them down the slides, where junior wranglers will collect them. I yell, "Turn it back on, shitbird!" and the manager says he can't. The startup sequence is too complex for a fast start. What the fuck is this, the Starship Enterprise? We look down. One slide is called the Swirly. The slide launches you into a giant bowl-shaped contraption that lets you circle at ever-increasing speed aided by the water jets until another jet of water rockets you down another slide into the catch pool. Now that the water is off, turds are collecting in the bowl because they don't understand the idea that you go down a final slide. We must go down there. Allison and I hit the slide. The 3 simps stay behind. The dry plastic tears at our skin, but even without the water we move fast enough to slam into the twists and bumps. We are deposited into the bowl. I smell the reek of fear and hear the various cries of scary, mommy, poopy, snack, and ruh. Allison and I are trying to herd them into a single group and get them down the slide. It would be a sound plan, except that we are herding turds. A low IQ autistic student named Persephone is running the bowl at full tilt. She's pretty fast and further up the bowl than I expected. I'm chasing her. Allison is yelling commands. I give up the chase and try to coax them down the slide. The slide is scary no-no, so it's more like I'm throwing the ones I can't catch bodily down the slide. There's a scream of pain. The catch pool is already emptying and someone hit the pool bottom. This ceases to register when I realize that I am standing ankle deep in vomit water. We begin to have some success. Allison is like the drill sergeant in Full Metal Jacket. She just called a kid a numbnuts, or at least that's what I think she said. Then I hear a gushing sound, the sound of the pipes filling with water. The park manager has just restarted the water. I think he got the start sequence wrong. The water for the jets that spin you around the bowl start first. Allison is hit first. She flies backwards and hits me in the gut. I crumple. Then the jet that forces you down the last slide kicks on. We shoot down the slide, with Allison on top using me as an inner tube. It's the most erotic experience I've had in months. Then my head goes underwater, and her hips keep it there. I would have liked it more if I wasn't drowning. My whole life flashes before my eyes. What a terrible montage that is. The 3 simps jump into the catch pool to rescue an already standing Allison, and I flop around. Luckily, my brain still has enough oxygen to realize that I'm face down, mouth open in a porta potty. The adrenaline kicks in, I lurch up, and vomit. The force appears to clear my lungs, and I gasp for air. Greg looks at me and says, "Pro, party foul." It's over. Raymond is screaming about how expensive this will be. It's very expensive. I wonder if Katie's grant will cover it. Luckily, no one from the school signed a damn thing. This was all an external doing. Much better for all of us than the penguin incident. The Wranglers never got a chance to change. We just put our clothes over our wet swimsuits. One of the simps is carrying Allison's bag for her. She looks annoyed. Herb and Carol emerge from their cabana, unaware that their darling son sexually assaulted a lifeguard. Herb makes the call me hand motion. We have to stay for lunch, because it's the only way anyone gets fed. There are french fries. Hannah's whole body is tense. She's the one who got me in trouble over the McDonald's fries last trip. She looks at me and says through clenched teeth, "I thought we agreed healthy choices only." Actually, we didn't. You just went to my boss because you think all these precious little angels will die if they get fries instead of apple slices. I don't say that. I do say in a loud but not quite yelling voice, "Don't look at me. I didn't plan this disaster. She did," pointing at Katie, and she picked the damn menu. I'm just along for the ride. Hannah turns to Katie and just screams, you. Then she pauses before she lets fly. What is wrong with you? We talked all last week about healthy fucking choices, but what would you know about healthy? You fuck anything with 2 legs and a dick. We all know about you and your friend Raymond. Katie stares daggers at me, but then Hannah takes a deep breath. The whole fucking place could hear the 2 of you fucking. It sounded like you railed at least 3 times, you whore. By now, fucking you must be like throwing a hot dog down a hallway. As Katie walked off, Hannah yelled, "Everyone can smell the stank on you." None of this made an impression on they just wanted their fries. Carol and Emmett shook their bowed heads and murmur, "Shameful, shameful," in unison. Whatever. All 3 of you, Katie, Carol, and Emmett, offered me the opportunity to fuck, and Emmett is a cuck. So to be honest, I have the most respect for Hannah, even if she's obsessed with not giving fries to and the ate their fries. It was time to go back to the school. We got all the tards and parents back onto the buses. Allison and I stood outside the buses with the other Wranglers, each savoring the last moments of silence before we embarked on our return trip. We were outside in the frigid cold with wet swimsuits under our clothes, each hoping we didn't have shit, vomit, or period blood on us. Spoiler alert, we did. I don't usually lose my cool. I'm pretty steady. It's how I've made it this far, but today was too much. I stood there and stared at the blank gray sky. I wondered if there was some higher power looking down on me. Then I screamed, "Fuck this shit, fuck it all, fuck my life," and so on. As I raged at an unfeeling god, I stomped and shook my fists. Then I was done, and we got onto our respective buses. On one level, you could say that the turds did this. However, I've been listening to a lot of Last Podcast on the Left I consume lingering in my synapses. But there's a lingering strong case for left-hand path magic here. I don't know. I also mixed some DMT gummies with psilocybin last weekend and the effects have lingered, but I still say chaos magic. So Allison and I went back to my office while the junior Wranglers got the settled. It was bad. It's always bad. We didn't get the chance to change out of our swimsuits and it was fucking freezing. Plus, we have nasty chlorine hair. After my rant, I'm trying to think of something to say that makes me sound like a halfway decent teacher and human being. Before I say anything, Allison says, "I hate my voice." Well, okay, let's be honest, it's weird. Also, she can't hear herself, so she has no sense of volume. So imagine a football coach calling a play from the sidelines, but it's a porpoise. In some stroke of sudden brilliance, I say, "You have a beautiful voice." I'll never be that smooth again. The sexual tension lasted for maybe 10 seconds. I'm not sure if it was the shared trauma, the wet swimsuits, the smell of chlorine, but we were on each other. It was like some war movie and we were 2 lovers sharing a last kiss before I went to Nam. Full-on embrace, bodies together, arms entangled. I could feel her breasts against my chest, and I guarantee she felt my heart on. We kissed for maybe 2 minutes straight. Then we stopped, realizing we had to return to a room full of turds. So we de-aroused ourselves, straightened our clothes and hair, and waited for my boner to deflate. Well, holy shit, that was one doozy of a story. Normally I would try to argue that maybe somehow, some way this story actually happened, but I don't know, guys. This one seems just a little far-fetched, just a touch. But I digress. I had fun and I hope you guys enjoyed whatever the hell this story was. And with that being said, that's gonna be it for today's video. If you like what I do, leave a comment, rate, and subscribe. If you want to support me in a more personal way, you can check out the Patreon link and the Teespring link in the description. I've also got a Newgrounds account if you like art stuff. I've got more content coming down the pipeline. But until then, I'll see you degenerates next time.